Welcome to Hand It Down. I'm Cole Woolley. I would like to discuss one of the important things about family history, and that is how you follow your lines back from generation to generation. Well, I have an elusive sixth great-grandfather named Thomas Woolley. He shows up in Philadelphia and marries a Quaker named Sarah Coppock in 1729 in Christchurch. It was a church that just being built, partially built in Philadelphia, at the same time as Benjamin Franklin, living in Philadelphia. This is the first we know of Thomas Woolley. It's also the last that we know of the Woolley line, except for the fact that a great-grandson wrote in a journal that his great-grandfather, Thomas Woolley, was from England. That's the only thing we know. And so I've spent especially in the last 20 years, I spent extensive time and money to be able to find the origins of Thomas Woolley. So let me discuss that today, and because in your case, you probably have a Thomas Woolley, like mine, that when you go back in your family line, it just stops. It might stop in the United States, it might stop in Germany, wherever it might stop. Sometimes it's because there are no records, and sometimes it was parish records or church records or civil records. Sometimes they stop because the building burned or the records got water damaged. Whatever it might be, you're stuck at a point where you can't go any further. So I'm going to talk eventually about how I've been able to do research to find the Woolley family in England and Wales. But first, let me just talk about Thomas Woolley. So as we look at my family history, there is myself, and then my father, Clayton Kalai Nui Mano Mano Woolley. And then there's my grandfather, Horace Walter Woolley, who was known basically as H. Walter Woolley. And then his father, Horace Wickersham Woolley, and his father, Samuel Wickersham Woolley. You see, Wickersham was a family name too. And then his father, Edwin Dilworth Woolley. Dilworth was a family name. And then we have John Woolley and another John Woolley, his father. And finally we get to my sixth great-grandfather, Thomas Woolley, who married Sarah Coppock. Now Sarah's family history is well known as Quaker, living in Philadelphia, and her ancestry in England as well. But what I don't have is anything related to Thomas Woolley back in England. This little document here from Christchurch shows that the minister or the clergy there documented the marriage of Thomas Woolley to Sarah Coppock on August 2nd, 1729. That's the first. I don't know his parents' names. I don't know his siblings' names. I don't know the county where he comes from or the city. He gave no written record, and genealogists, professional genealogists, have researched this. And one of the professional genealogists who documented my history and the history of Thomas Woolley, Preston Woolley Parkinson, He was a professional genealogist, and basically he said, after an exhaustive search of all the records in the Philadelphia area, because they settled in Westchester and Philadelphia, is that this is left to future generations to figure out. So after going through all the civil records, the wills, and parish records and church records and Quaker meeting records, there's no more evidence of where Thomas Woolley came from. So let me read a little bit about Thomas Woolley and his beginnings. Well, Thomas Woolley shows up in a Quaker Providence meeting record on the August 27th, 1729. This is just a little over 3 weeks after they were married. And it simply says, Sarah Coppock, daughter of Jonathan and Jane Coppock, the here deceased, produced acknowledgement for marriage to Thomas Woolley by a priest. This is simply a recognition that they were married out of the group of Quakers. This is a common practice in the olden days where the records of those married outside of the Friends or the Quakers were written down to document that they were either not part of the Friends anymore, or that they at least documented that what had happened. And so this is the acknowledgement by the parents and by Thomas Woolley and Sarah Coppock that their marriage took place. Now, I'm guessing that Thomas Woolley didn't want to be a stranger to his wife's family. Thomas Woolley did not have his parents nearby. He was most likely alone. He probably didn't have his brother or sister nearby. In fact, I've written up an entire document about Thomas Woolley and what to look for in his family overseas. Like, what would his brothers and sisters' names be? Would he be the firstborn or somewhere in the middle, or the lastborn in his family? Why would he travel from England all the way to Philadelphia? Did he go to Boston, or did he go to Philadelphia as a port? These are the things, I ask myself as I try and search for Thomas Woolley. Well, let's read again the next instance where he's listed in the Friends in Providence. It simply says, Thomas Woolley appeared here and requested he might come under the care and notice of friends, which request was granted. So in this second notation in the Friends at Providence in Pennsylvania, we see that Thomas Woolley wanted now to be included in the Friends. He was willing to become a member, a Quaker himself, and follow the Quaker habits and statutes. So definitely Thomas was alone. He had nowhere to go, and becoming part of his wife's family, her brothers and sisters, uncles and aunts, really gave him some value. Well, that's what I know about Thomas Woolley, and I know about all of his descendants until me. So as my 6th great-grandfather, I'm still looking for my seventh great-grandfather and my seventh great-grandmother. I would love to be able to find them. And in a future episode, I'll tell you about how I spent the last 20 years searching the records of England and Wales to find my Woolley line there. It still is elusive, but I've gotten closer. And I went about it in a way that most people wouldn't have thought possible. So this is all about finding, or when you come to a brick wall or a dead end in your family history, this is about how to continue searching for that extension. If you want to extend your line, you hit the brick wall, you hit this dead end. What can you do to be able to continue to search for and find the person's father, grandfather, mother, grandmother, sisters, brothers? This is all about hand it down. I'm searching for the treasures that help identify who you are and who I am. And in this case, it's Thomas Woolley who was found in Philadelphia in 1729, marrying my sixth great-grandmother, Sarah Coppock.